Okay.
Hi, welcome. Are you guys excited to be here? Okay, great. My name is Denise. I am one of the organizers tonight, and I work with SafetyWing. Does anyone know SafetyWing? Please raise your hand. Alright, a few people. Perfect. So, tonight we have a very interesting topic, loneliness as a digital nomad. Is anyone a digital nomad here? A few hands. Wow, okay, so did anyone ever feel lonely as a digital nomad? Raise your hand.
Yes, yesterday.
Well, tonight is a treat then, because you have plenty of new friends you can network with after. So, SafetyWing, for those of you who don't know what we do, we are a startup and we offer a global safety net for digital nomads. So typically when you have a job in your country will provide health insurance for you, pension, life and disability insurance. But when you're a nomad and you travel, you don't have that security, you don't have that infrastructure. And that's our mission at SafetyWing. We started with nomad insurance. Is anyone a customer already of nomad insurance? Yes? Awesome. If not, come see me and we can chat after. Nomad insurance is our travel medical insurance, and we make sure you are covered outside of your home country in case you have an emergency, a medical emergency, or an incident. SafetyWing is a rapidly growing startup. We have the pleasure tonight to have Sarah, one of the co-founders. And so Sarah, Sondre, and Hans, the three co-founders, are originally from Norway, but they know how to create this global community that makes you feel like you're part of something bigger as a nomad. And I'm really excited tonight that she'll be sharing with our guests a little bit about how to create that community as a nomad. At SafetyWing, we are 150 employees in the world right now. We're growing at a really rapid pace. And we have 100,000 customers who are also remote workers. On top of that, we collaborate regularly with content creators and community organizers. We have 3 guests tonight who are part of that community of ambassadors. We have Danish, Alyne, and Denise. And I will let, in a few minutes, Sarah present them in case you have not interacted with them yet. But just as a reminder tonight, you'll have some time to ask our guests some questions and also a little bit of networking time after, so make sure you have some food and drinks. I also want to invite you to chat a bit with the people around, make new friends, and to reward the guest here that will participate the most, we have amazing merch. So if you ask question at the end, one of you, the most engaged, will get this beautiful neoprene backpack to go on your adventure. And if you share with on Instagram with the hashtag SafetyWing Istanbul, we'll also pick someone and we'll call you on the mic to come and pick up a backpack. So thank you so much for being here. We're really happy to have you and enjoy this beautiful topic.
I'm curious, yeah, am I mic'd up? Okay, great. So then you can have that one, Denise. Thank you so much for the intro, Liz. And like she said, I'm one of the co-founders of SafetyWing. I'm originally from Norway. I'm currently mostly based in the US and primarily New York, LA, and San Francisco. A little trifecta there. I used to be fully nomadic, but at this point, I kind of just consider myself international and just kind of go where the wind blows, where it takes me. Today, we have Danish, Alyne, and Denise. I would love to hear where you're from, where you're based, and what your favorite place in the world is.
I can start. Hey guys, how everybody's doing? First of all, I just want to say the most exciting crowd. I love it. You know, normally people are quiet, so good to have you all here. So I'm a Pakistani-born Canadian, and where I'm based, I think Pachamama is our home. Most of the digital nomad consider them as a global citizen. So same here. I was in Rio, then New York, Toronto, Greece. Now I'm here, and I'll be moving to Asia. And I'm the founder of the Digital Nomads Around the World. It's the biggest community of digital nomads on Facebook. So if you are thinking to become a digital nomad, I would invite you. It's a great resource to join it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And your favorite place? Your favorite place?
Oh, my favorite place. I think that's a pretty tough question because everywhere I go, it has some sort of unique thing which I love. But in the recent, if you ask me the last year, I would pick Rio de Janeiro as a city.
Nice. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Alyne. I am from Los Angeles, but I haven't lived there since I was a kid. So now I live in Dubai and travel a lot, but I do have a permanent home base, which I'm really enjoying because I can have cats. My job is that I'm a content creator, so I make videos online on all the different platforms. My biggest platform is Facebook, and my favorite country, I think, I say this a lot, is Albania. I love Albania. And I also love Turkey, and I'm not just saying that because we're here, but Turkey is very much in my top 5 because every time I come, I go to different cities and I have a great time every time. So I am happy to be here. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Denise. I'm from the US. I have a permanent base in Rhode Island, which is a very small state in the Northeast. I work in marketing for WiFi Tribe, which is a community of remote professionals. We co-live together, we work together, and we travel around the world together. Which is an amazing thing. But I would say my favorite place in the world is easily Patagonia in Argentina. Bariloche specifically has my heart. I love it there.
Thank you so much for the great answers. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about how to overcome travelers' loneliness, like kind of a gloomy topic. Firstly, I'm wondering, we can start with you, Denise. How long have you been a nomad, and how do you handle it? In particular, like friendships, making friends, maintaining friendships differently now than during the first year in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I've been a nomad since about 2018, and I would really describe myself now as more of like a satellite nomad. I live full time in the US, and then, like you said, when the feeling strikes, I catch a flight and head somewhere. But in terms of maintaining relationships, I think it's really about intention, and it's whether it's on Instagram or via text or WhatsApp. I kind of leave the friendships that don't really serve me or don't feel like they are fulfilling me in some way or another, maybe on the wayside. And the people that I really connect with, who I feel hear me and understand me, are people that I really make sure that we exchange contact information with. Like I said, whether it's Instagram or WhatsApp or whatever platform, and you just kind of send a text here and there to say, hey, thinking about you. It's not always to say, hey, let's catch up or get on the phone, but I think really the nice smaller moments when I see something and it makes me think of a friend, and reaching out just to say, hey, I saw this and look at this photo. I can't wait to see you again. It's just a nice way to kind of keep that connection alive, and you don't always have to have hour-long phone calls to catch up, but I think just kind of those small moments. I think it's about the little moments now. So that's kind of how I maintain kind of my nomadic friends literally all over the world.
Yeah, great. What about you, Alyne? Has anything changed since you've been out and about for 3+ years now?
Yeah, a lot has changed. So I didn't have any followers at the beginning. And now I have like over 3 million. So it's a lot easier to make friends. But I can talk about the beginning because that's probably more relatable than just like posting, I'm here and people coming, which is so amazing. But when I started, I mean, even after I had Dear Alyne, I can talk about that after. It was still difficult to make friends because not everyone you meet is meant to be your best friend, right? You can be an acquaintance, you can hang out. So when I lived in Singapore recently, it was close to impossible for me to make very good friends. I did have some friends, and they were good friends, but they have their jobs and their lives, and I'm needy and I need my friends around all the time, And so when you're a digital nomad and you can work from home and your friends have to go to a job every day, it's hard because they want to hang out after work and I want to co-work during the day. So that was really difficult. And honestly, the solution to that for me was leaving Singapore and going to Dubai and relocating. And I made a lot more friends in Dubai because Dubai is 90% expats. 90% of people in Dubai don't have friends because they're not from there. Okay, they're not from that country. So it's so much easier because everyone's like, yeah, let's hang out. And if you live in Dubai, there's a high chance you are a digital nomad because they have, interesting tax structures and things like that. But when I got started, the way that I made friends was, couch surfing, because I was on a super tight budget. So, I couch surfed in Istanbul. I could probably look up the people I stayed with and talk to them now. Also, if you're already doing something, like you're at this event and I know at least like 25% of you will not talk to anyone and you will leave because you're shy, right? And I'm also shy, and I know you don't believe me, but I am, and I have social anxiety. So, and I would go to events to network, and then I would like not talk to anyone. And I would just like stand there and be like, why didn't I make friends? What happened? I was there. Why did no one talk to me? So you have to talk to people, right? If you're also shy. And the way that I kind of got energy to do that is I found a very social friend, and I would just watch him at parties. And I was like, how does he approach other people? What does he say to them? How does he not feel shy? And then I just pretend I am him, and I make friends.
I love that. That's such a great little tip. Pretend you're someone else, like don't forget about
Don't be yourself.
No, I guess like fake it till you make it is a better, more positive way of saying this. Yeah. What about you, Denise?
Yeah, so I think, traditional definition of a village, that group of people share kind of same values or culture. So virtual communities, digital communities has become that, like online village or online nation or community. I'm literally telling you this because I have more in common with the strangers in my community than maybe with my family, maybe sometimes, so that's where you meet people online. Like Alyne is an example. She's sitting here. I knew her 3 years before online, then finally met her in real life. So I think that's how I make friends. First, you connect with online, and you can totally build a very strong, significant relationship online as well. Now we are getting into a time. Physical is very important, of course, that's the end, but you can totally start, you can build real connections online, and then of course make them more stronger when you meet them physically, like I'm meeting all of them. So that's how I'm making friends, and that's what I noticed have changed in last 8 to 10 years.
Wow. I'm just coming back to that point that you said, Alyne. It was so interesting that you actually relocated because you couldn't get your social life to work. I had a similar experience. I was living in London. My social life was great, but my dating life was awful. I went on many dates. I just found London to be like, for me, it was kind of like an unsexy city. I couldn't, yeah. That was one of the primary reasons why I left.
Where did you go? Where's the sexy city?
New York.
She's
I was there
right.
5 months. I'm getting married in 2 weeks. I met him 5 months in. Yeah. And I was in London for 2 years, and didn't meet anyone.
I would also agree.
So I don't know about you guys' relationship status, but that is kind of part of traveler's loneliness. Denise, do you have anything to say about like dating when you're nomadic, and how does that work?
Yeah, it's hard out there, y'all. The apps are different country to country, and what people expect you to say and how you're supposed to be is different culture to culture. I think dating is hard no matter where you live, whether you're traveling or you have a home base. Dating is hard. So I think it's all about putting yourself out there and maybe assuming and having some confidence in yourself that if someone is maybe not picking up on your vibes or picking up what you're putting down, it's okay to move on. It's okay to kind of swing and miss every once in a while. But to your point, if you're really not feeling like the place that you're in is full of people that are understanding you, it's totally okay to move on to the next place and not feel guilty or not feel bad about yourself because someone didn't understand who you were, because there will be hundreds and thousands of people who will. And I think dating, I also am in a relationship, and long distance is equally as hard when you're not in the same place. I think it really comes down to open communication and being on the same page with that person, whether they're also traveling independently of you or if they're at home. It really comes down to, do you guys understand each other? Are you speaking openly? Are you being honest? Are you being transparent? I think that's what works for me, and I hope that would work for other people too.
Dating. Okay, I am the worst person to ask about dating because I love dating. I'm very good at dating, and people are like, my friends are like, it's hard. I'm like, no, girl, it's not hard. Okay, so the way I always approach dating is like friendships. So, when I'm sure we all did this if we were single when there was Tinder and things like that. I would use the apps, match with people, and I would have on my account that I'm looking for friends, right? So if they wanted something more and they didn't get it, that's their problem because I had it there. And I would make so many friends like that, and like we would meet up and there would be no expectations. And I'm probably not still in touch with these people because that was like 6-7 years ago, but we stayed in touch for a while. I made friends all around the world like that. And it was super fun. And if you're looking for a serious relationship, I don't think you should worry too much, because if you are living the lifestyle you want, you are going to run into people living the same lifestyle. So you are going to find people who are also traveling full time, like who also, you went to New York, you like New York, they're in New York, right? So I met my current partner, we were both visiting family in Israel, right? So we have Israel in common, we both go there to visit our families. My ex-husband, I was married, fun fact. So my ex-husband, we're not together anymore, but it was fine while it lasted. We met on couch surfing. Even though we lived in the same town, we never would have met. We went to the same university, but we didn't even know we existed until the couch surfing app, because we have that in common, that we love traveling on a budget, things like that. So I think just not putting too much pressure on yourself with dating helps, because it also makes the dates more fun. And so instead of being like, oh my God, is this the love of my life? You're just like, is this person enough fun to spend 3 hours with, right? And then it makes it less pressure.
Yeah, have the experience. Don't put so much pressure on yourself.
So much pressure. You're like, oh my God, I need to get married. And then you're like, no, I don't need to marry you. Just please don't be boring, just for now.
So, guys, digital nomadism is the most rewarding life experience you can have, but it has the biggest challenge. And dating is, I guess, the top. I am telling you based on the data in the community. Even I have a hashtag table for one. It's quite famous in my community because most of the nomads are actually going alone, and we are waiters are looking at us and we are like, oh, somebody's coming. So yeah, dating is gonna be very challenging for you. There are ways which you could use to make the best out of it, but it's gonna be a challenge. I can share some tips maybe if the next question comes in, but Bumble BFF is one. Of course, Tinder works. There should be a Tinder, to be honest, digital nomad Tinder, I think. It would make more sense. And then also you're going to these meetups, and also there's a meetup app and a speed dating events. It happens in different cities. In New York, it happens a lot. So there are different ways you could do it, but it's gonna be challenging. But to be honest, you're not gonna miss that much because you are having the best life. Every day you're having this mind-blowing experiences. So it's gonna offset some of your companionship needs.
Can I add something? Like, if you meet someone when you're traveling, invite them with you to the next step. So when I was single, that was something I did all the time. Or when I was in university, I would start dating people in September after summer. And then I would, have many dates in September. And by November, I would have like my finalists, And then by December, I was like, okay, by Christmas, I need to close one of these. And like one of the deciding factors is, will you travel with me this summer, all summer? And if they said yes, they're the winner. And if they both said yes, we had to find a different solution.
Is your current partner one of the winners of this?
He was like, I met him after university, so he didn't have to go through this process. But he did have competitors, but he won.
You mentioned Tinder. I've also used, I used it to date, but, ended up being how I met friends because, I'd meet a guy and he would invite me to a party. I would meet people, girls or, girlfriends there. And, that's how, when I first moved to New York, that's how, like, my social circle started. And, some of those plus friends of friends of friends, are still in my circle today. So that's a great tips. Do you have any, Denise, you mentioned like you had some tips and tricks for how to meet people that, maybe people might not think about?
There are apps, as you said, Bumble BFF or Bumble in Tinder.
Because I'm talking about friends also, not just...
Sure. So if you are actually looking for, as and said as well, that you will meet, if you go to the events and if you find the digital nomads, I think for digital nomads, the other digital nomad would be the most appropriate dating partner, I think, humbly. Otherwise, if you're living, you meet someone and your visa expired, that means your relationship expired as well, right? digital nomad relationship have an expiry date, which is kind of matching with the visa. So it's better to meet someone who share the same lifestyle, and you travel with them, and then you go solo in one country, and then you meet reunion again in another country. I think I know a few digital nomads, including Alyne. She did that for some time, and a lot of digital nomads do that. How do you meet other digital nomads? Of course, virtual communities, as I mentioned already. And also in Tinder, digital nomad has a thing that they put that I'm a digital nomad. That's like a big signal for other digital nomads to see. So you can totally meet them. You super like them because you know you will always meet them again around the world. So that would be my tip, I guess, yeah.
I can chime in with some other tips. So if you're in a country that you don't speak the local language, going to language classes and working with a local teacher or professor is a great way to meet people, especially if you do small group classes. There's also a company called Sofar Sounds, SOFAR. They do shows literally in every country, I think, in the world, like minus Antarctica. And they do live concerts. So it's local artists who put on concerts in someone's living room or a furniture store or this co-working space. And it's such a good way to meet people. Generally, it's free. Sometimes it's pay what you wish. And it's usually bring your own drinks, bring your own food. And it's really like a casual setting where sometimes you're sitting on the floor listening to these really like amazing music acts. And then in between sets, you're able to mingle and network with people who are also obviously interested in music. And that would be something that you might be interested in as well. I think having those common interests and going places where you have hobbies or doing things that you like in your new country, whether you like to run, join a run club. If you like to play tennis, try to find a court that does, weekly Monday matches. Try to do the things that you like to do at home while you're traveling, because that's where you'll meet people that you connect with the most and that you'll have kind of an excuse to hang out with, where you don't, if you're maybe a little anxious about reaching out or texting, it's like kind of a stand-up, quote unquote, date every Monday. If it's like, oh, well, we do this on Monday. This class happens on Monday, so I know I'm gonna see my future friend there that I just need to put in a little work to say, hey, let's go get a coffee after this, or let's do something. And when you already have a little something in common, it just kind of makes the whole experience much better. And then the last tip I would share is reach out to your network right now. I mean, your friends have friends in other places. Like, I think that's maybe an underutilized thing that as digital nomads, we don't always do. Or when you're first starting out, you don't think that that's something that you could tap into. I think digital nomads are actually pretty good to say, like, actually, my friend's in Istanbul. You'll have to meet up with her. That happened to me literally yesterday. So before you even start, put some seeds out into your network and say, hey, I'm thinking of going to Crete. Do you know anyone who lives there? Or whatever the country is. You'll be surprised to know that a friend of a friend of a friend of yours wants to meet up with you or wants to share some tips or connect you with someone that they know. I think as people, we want to be connected and we want to be part of a community. And so you'll be surprised to find the connections that you make through people that you wouldn't even think would be the one to connect you.
Is this about friendship or dating?
It can be.
Okay,
both.
both. Okay, so like a very specific tip that you will like because you have a Facebook group is when I was traveling in the past, I was in all these like travel Facebook groups and I would just use the search bar and I would just like, I was going to Georgia, the country, and I typed Tbilisi or whatever Tbilisi, because I was like, Georgia might show me the US. Okay, so I typed Tbilisi and I looked at all the posts about Tbilisi and I looked at like, oh, who looks cool that made these posts, and I found this girl, Sarah, and she's like, oh, I live in Georgia. If anybody's coming, reach out. And this was like an old post from like months before, but I reached out and I was like, hi, Sarah, I'm coming to Georgia. Long story short, we're best friends. I stayed with her. She had like a huge apartment from her company. I got like a free room. We like went all around the country from like a random archived Facebook post. So just like searching old posts on Facebook is really great. And also everybody kind of knows this, but doesn't always utilize it. And this is more when you're traveling and less when you have lived somewhere longer. Hostels. But again, this requires like talking to people and following up. But like hostels are so good. And I still remember I was in Turkey when I was like younger, 8 years ago or something. I was at some hostel in Fethiye or somewhere. And I remember sitting at the table because I really have a lot of social anxiety. You don't understand. I was sitting at the table at breakfast, like staring at the people, like, please talk to me. because I was too shy to go up. I could not. I was like dying, and I was just sitting there like, please speak to me, someone. And like nobody did because I looked probably super weird. But I remember I finally talked to someone, and then I was like, oh, what are you doing today? And they were going on some tour, and I was like, oh, can I come? And we went on the tour, and then we spent the whole week with like this other girl, and you know, just at a hostel. It's so much easier to make friends, in my opinion, and I'd love to hear from you guys, when you are actively traveling. Because everyone around you is on vacation and like they have time to hang out and you have a clear path. Like when you go to Southeast Asia, everybody does the same path, right? So you can do the whole trip together. It's a little harder when you move somewhere, I think, because, you know, you have to find people who are there.
I have a different perspective, actually.
Oh, do you? Yes,
Yeah,
share.
I mean, I don't know. We're talking about being like digital nomads and traveling all the time, but there is a smaller niche of us that are called, or perhaps called, slow mads, where it's more, I'd like to spend, me personally, I spend at least like 6 months in a different place. Upwards of a year would be really like my dream. I really like to get to know somewhere and like have my spots. I like that. And in doing so, you get to make like really profound friendships with someone because you're not always on the move and you're not always traveling. And so it's a different style of friendship, and maybe you're becoming friends with more locals. Like I lived with local people, or like lived with local guys when I was living in Buenos Aires, and that was an amazing way to meet people because I got to hang out with their friends. And I'm a random girl from the US. Why would I ever get a chance to hang out with them? But because I signed a lease with them and I was living with them, like I got to hang out with them and meet their friends and connect. And so I actually really prefer moving a little bit slower, and I find that I make more friends that way, actually.
I think maybe personality type.
Yeah, also true.
Or luck. Maybe you're friendlier.
I would also share, actually, my personal story. So I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. So it's no digital nomads, no expats, just locals there. And I don't know how I'm going to meet people because you don't meet friends on the street, right? Even though I approach them like, freak, just stay away from us. So what to do, right? So I learned this thing on my journey that you start a hobby or a sport or any activity. You know, there are meetup groups. So I took some volleyball lessons in Rio de Janeiro. On the beach is much better, of course, than Atlanta. But then I found some groups there in Atlanta. I went there. There were like 12 people waiting for me because I joined that event. And they said, hey, you Danish? Yeah. And then we all connected. We had a game. And they said, hey, are you free this evening? Yeah, let's go for drinks. Instantly, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So I'm using that technique wherever I go. It works. So Meetup is the app. It's not quite famous in every city, but most of the cities you will find that. Or couchsurfing as well. I did couchsurfing a long time ago. So couchsurfing, hangout, and events. It's also a great way to quickly go and make some new friends.
You guys have so many amazing just like stories and tidbits and tips. One thing that I found hard when I was like an active nomad is, you know, you go from country to country, and it's not even, you know, it's not that I have a problem making friends, it's that it accumulates so many friends that it's hard to, I mean, I'm not saying it's not hard to make friends, but, you know, you get better at it over time. And then, you know, suddenly you're in a situation where you have many, and then you have many incoming messages. And in particular, when you make friends with locals, I mean, because they don't move around. So then you have these like, you end up with all these pockets. You might never go back to that location. How do you handle this? Like, 'cause when you're local, before you left, you know, you have maybe, you know, 10 active friendships. But then, okay, you're 3 months here, 6 months there, you know, give that like 2 years. Suddenly you have, you know, 50 friends. How do you handle it? Do you have any rules or routines that you set for yourself to manage the amount of people that are in your life? And in particular for you, Alyne, imagine, you know.
My phone is a horrific place to be.
So how do you do it?
I can go first on this one. So I have a lot of incoming messages, as you might imagine. Many from people I don't know, but I would love to know, but I don't have capacity to know all humans. Many from people I have met, and I have met tens of thousands of people in person. So there definitely needs to be management. So for example, me coming to this event, I love meeting people in local places, but I absolutely cannot meet one-on-one with everyone. I would lose my mind and it would be impossible time-wise. So if I'm gonna be somewhere, I'm like, hey, come here, let's all meet here. So I host meetups as I travel. I hosted one recently in London in the middle of a snowstorm in a park outdoors. So that was interesting. Yeah, like the most dedicated people came. So I was like, yes. that's what I do when it comes to the following, because I love to meet everyone. It's what makes it fun. I also made a Facebook group a while back where everyone could meet each other, because now that I had Dearly and I was like, wow, it's so easy for me to make friends. You know, all these people want to be friends with each other. So I made a Facebook group so they could meet up and post, hey, I'm here, I live here. I was part of an app that, you know, doesn't do this anymore, but it had like meetup locations, things like that. And when it comes to my personal life, managing friendships, it is difficult. I always have periods in life where I don't have friends. So I want people to know, like, if you're like, oh, I'm not having that many friendships right now, I think it's kind of normal. And I've had it, you know, when I got married, like the first year, I was like, oh my God, now my single friends don't want to hang out as much. And so I need to find other married friends, and I was very lonely. Or, you know, after my divorce, you know, I probably was lonely. I don't remember. Actually, I wasn't, but, you know, you might be. Someone else might be. Or when I moved to Singapore, I was lonely. So what I have found that works is I have like very specific friends that I really like. And I could name them now, but I won't. But one is Michael, my friendly friend. And these friends are in a similar phase of life to me. They do not have kids. They can travel at any time. They're in similar career paths where they work from their computer. And I make every year on my birthday, I host us somewhere. So like I pay for everything, and I'm like, meet me here. Because they have to fly from London, from all these different countries, and they're already paying for the flight. So I provide the accommodation for 3 days, and I know I will see them every year on my birthday, right? And then we try to plan trips together. So I try to have like 5 main people that are my friends that I hope are friends for many years. You never know. Never know, never know. That's what I do. And everyone else, I try to see in groups if possible, because I get exhausted socially. So even if I do really like someone, I cannot just, and I'm also working, and like I need to work. It's a lot of work doing videos and content and running businesses. One last thing that I've also done that helped me make a lot of friends is I run retreats. So it's like you know, if there's all these people following, and then there's like a select group that can take off time, that can afford it, that is interested enough to come, that flies all the way to the place I host the retreat, I end up making a lot of friends there. Not every person who comes becomes a best friend, but, you know, Cashly was at my Albania retreat. I never met her in my life, and now we're traveling in Turkey together because we were forced to spend 2 weeks together in Albania. And you will probably be friends after that, right? So that has helped. That was like a highly specific method that worked me, is like you can host your own events or host your own retreats or go on retreats or, you know, host a workshop that's 2 hours if you don't want to plan something big about something you like. Like I lived in Singapore, and to make friends, I literally found someone else's Facebook group about curly hair in Singapore because it's a problem, because it's humid. And I like posted, hey, let's make a WhatsApp group, and I stole all of them into my WhatsApp group. And then I hosted at my house a curly hair event for people with curly hair in my living room. And I was like, bring your favorite products. And I made brownies. So I made friends like that. It's kind of weird, but it works.
I think I will share that digital nomads are running into each other. This is surprising, but globally, people are running into each other. Like I met a guy 2 years ago in Mexico. We played volleyball. He was from New York. We just say hi, and you know, we didn't exchange Instagram. And after like 8 months, volleyball scene, digital nomad volleyball scene in Rio de Janeiro, and he's like, hey, Brad, hey, what's up? So it's like literally happens like 20 times. So if you want, you should make digital nomad friends. So easily manageable. You don't even need to keep in touch. You will meet them. You will run into each other. And we also do mass relocation. So this year, the theme is Asia, like Bali and Thailand, because it was locked down for the last 2 years. So I know plenty, like a few thousand people are moving there. So I'm sure that I'll be running to the same guys I met in Latin America. So that's the one thing, to the least manageable friendships. The locals, unfortunately, you know, you love them. They're most amazing, beautiful people. You meet them, you love them, but you can't keep that friendship ongoing because you may not be going back in their time soon, and they are not traveling to visit you in crazy country, right? So that goes to pause, and maybe if you visit again, maybe you try to connect them back. But yeah, but that's the little sad part of the digital magic.
I very much agree with that. For me, that's almost like it's been borderline traumatizing to do that over and over again, like make friends with locals and then you leave.
Yeah.
And you feel kind of bad about it, honestly.
I know, I get messages from them and they're really cute.
Yeah.
Like people you met like
Same.
5 years ago, they're like, saludades.
Yeah.
Beijos.
And it's, I wish I had like a better, I wish I had the energy to maintain every single friendship.
Yes.
Just travel the world and, meet up again, yearly, meet everyone I was ever close with, but it's just like not realistic. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have any tips or tricks for how to handle this?
No, I mean, I agree with you. It's unrealistic
Yeah.
to think that you'll be able to maintain every friendship that you create. But I think kind of what I said at the beginning, it could just be small moments. And like you, I have like a smaller circle that I do try to keep in touch with. And like I said, I'm not having 2-hour catch-ups with them all the time, but we are like sending stupid things back to each other. And that's just enough to let each other know that, hey, I'm still thinking about you and you are someone that I consider part of my life, even if I don't know exactly what you did last month or how your job is going specifically. But in general, we know we're doing great and we know that we're still friends and we feel confident in our friendship because we had a really awesome bond when we were in the same place together. And I think I'm definitely different from you guys where I will go back to the place that I've been before. And I'm looking forward to going back and meeting friends that I have already made who are local and who stay put. And I kind of like being the person that gets to pop in and pop back out, and they get to live vicariously through me and I get to live vicariously through them too. I missed a lot, while not being in the local place that they live, and we get to catch each other up. It's nice. But I will also say that, and this is kind of a shameless plug, that with digital nomads, like randomly meeting up with each other, it can get like, it's hard. I mean, it is random, but it's hard to meet back up with friends who are also constantly traveling, which is like a problem that WiFi Tribe really wanted to tackle. Like we wanted to be a community that intentionally ran back into each other. We wanted to see each other again, but we were on different schedules where I'm in Asia, I'm in South America. Our paths are just not crossing. So what we decided to do was like put together trips that we were going to say, these are the dates we're going to be in this specific country. We have a co-living house and we're going to live and work together in this specific place. And of a community of 650 people, you have like a group of 650 friends. Maybe you don't know all of those people, but maybe you know 20 of them that you guys can make plans to say, hey, let's go on this trip together and see each other. Or let's, in our Slack community, let's coordinate and meet up. I sometimes think Slack can be, if that's a tool that you use, can be a really simple way and a casual way to reconnect with someone over like a WhatsApp voice message or something like that, which maybe can feel a little too, if you haven't spoken with someone in a while, like, oh, I feel weird sending this. I haven't caught up with you in ages, but a Slack message is a little less intense, maybe.
Great to hear all of those tips. I never thought about using Slack for social things. So,
Well, yeah, we have like a whole, all of our members are on the Slack platform. So we get to chat with each other all the time, which is really nice.
Amazing. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this up soon. I have a final question. What is something that you learned about yourself throughout this process? I mean, it's a journey, going through, and you go from having local friends or, university friends or high school friends and neighbors and friends of friends to, jumping around the world and having friends in all sorts of places and all sorts of different cultures and backgrounds. How has that reflected on you? What have you learned about yourself? Denise,
oh gosh, a mountain. I can't, I'm trying to think of like a specific thing. Honestly, travel is such a personal growth journey. Like in pun intended, it is such a journey, both physically and mentally, emotionally. And when the loneliness kicks in, you learn so much more about yourself because you have the voice in your head and you are by yourself. Maybe you're eating dinner table for one by yourself and you get to entertain yourself and you just have to kind of go inward a little bit, which can be uncomfortable at times. But I think at the end of the day, I know myself like 100% more than I did before I started traveling, because you have your creature comforts at home. You have your circle of friends at home. But when you're forced to go out there in a place you might not know the language and you have no friends at all, you kind of just have to put yourself out there, gain some confidence, pretend you're someone else for a minute and just say like, F it, and I'm just gonna do this. And so, yeah, you really kind of have to dig deep and be comfortable with yourself. I think you just gain like a whole world's worth of confidence the more you travel and the more you do it by yourself and the more that you just get comfortable with yourself. And I think that's a really like positive thing to acquire.
I think something I learned from specifically trying to make friends while traveling is that it can take a lot of effort, and you can have wasted effort that doesn't have any good outcome, and you can have effort that yields to an outcome. So what worked for me the best was partially the retreats, because it's literally people apply and I accept them. So I know if they come, there's a high chance we'll be compatible. What worked is, accepting that I cannot be friends with everyone, right? You cannot be friends with everyone in this room. It's impossible, right? You need to find the one or two people that you genuinely have things in common with. And I think for years I was trying to be friends with anyone and everyone. I was like, we can all be friends, but we cannot, because we don't have that much to talk about after a while. If you're not in a similar industry, if you don't have similar, life goals and expectations, I don't want to just sit and have coffee with someone and talk about nothing. I would go crazy. So I had to just accept not everyone is going to be my friend. It's okay that specific people with specific, I weirdly am friends with lawyers, like a lot of lawyers, but I'm not a lawyer. A lot of gay lawyers specifically. It's a weird subgenre. But I think it's because they're funny and they are smart and analytical, and I'm analytical. When I hit 3 of them that were in my top 10 friends, I was like, something's going on here. And 1 straight one. So 4 out of 10 of my best friends are lawyers, which you might not expect. You think I'm friends with content creators. Only one of my very close friends is a full-time creator, I would say. So kind of accepting that it's a journey is something I learned is don't stress too much. Just accepting I'm going to have periods again in my life where I don't have friends. It's going to happen. It's a cycle, right? And I think that's not a great takeaway, but that's genuinely what I learned is, finding your genre and making an effort. So I make a big effort and I plan trips with friends, and I plan, when I was building Dear Alyne, I didn't have time to build friendships because I had to focus everything on the creation platform. And once Dear Alyne was kind of stable, I said, I'm going to sacrifice growth a lot. I sacrificed a lot of growth because I wanted to prioritize friendship. So that was a conscious decision I made, and I'm very happy I did. I could probably have millions more followers, but I would be sad. So I don't care.
I'll quickly say that, guys, I read somewhere that instead of reading 100 books, you travel 2 countries or something like that. It's actually true. I thought it was just a quote, famous quote. But when you travel, you will be surprised so many things you're going to learn about yourself. So first is challenges your beliefs or ideas which you grew up with, or someone told you that. So even in a small town in Mexico, a street seller can teach you how to show gratitude, or how to show to be happy with less. So these kind of things, they may sound very cliche, but actually they, literally grow you as a person, as a human. And be kind, and how to be nice. These are actually comes into your personality, and you don't even notice that. So that's why, all the travelers are generally humble, most of them, and they're nicer because they have seen and they have learned from everywhere they go, from every other person they met. So yeah, so not one thing I would say, it's kind of changed me as a person, as a whole. So yes, that's why traveling is amazing, and we should continue to do that. Let's go after this.
Wow, I learned a lot and got a lot of great insight and tips and tricks that I'm gonna definitely use. I mean, that's such a cool idea to just invite people. Make it a yearly thing. That means that as they know that I will get invited. At that point, we are still friends.
And if you don't get an invitation, you should worry.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So yeah, how about we give a big round of applause for our panelists with their questions. Liz, do you want to take questions from the audience?
Any question? Okay. All right, I'll pass it on to
Hi, so I wanted to ask, how do you manage relationships with traveling? For example, you find your partner, but how can you manage the time between being able to travel alone or travel with friends and traveling with him or her? So
I can do that, yeah. I'm very qualified, yes. I think one thing I'm learning is that every relationship is different and has different tolerance levels. So when my partner and I started dating, we were traveling together full time. So I would, the first few months he would come with me wherever I wanted, and then it eventually became wherever he wanted, and we just kind of chose places together, and we're together 24/7. Then our lifestyle changed because he started a company. So he was more static. And for a while, I was trying to travel with him when he went on business trips. I was trying to be in his company's places, and I realized I was not happy with that situation. I felt like the trailing wife, and I was like, that is not my energy, okay? So I was like, something needs to change. So I talked to him and I was like, listen, like I'm not just gonna like keep going wherever you're going. That's not what's gonna happen anymore. So either we're gonna need to be apart a lot more, or you're gonna need to come where I'm going. Okay, so that's what we kind of do, is we've accepted we're gonna be apart a lot more frequently. And I will occasionally have times I force him to come wherever I want, right? So Albania about a month ago, we went to the Maldives, and we set those times aside for us. Again, every relationship, super different. That won't work for everyone. And we had to go through a lot of work to get to that point. So when we started dating and we started traveling apart sometimes, it was very hard for me because I'm used to someone who's with me 24/7. Anyone I dated before, that's like what we do. You're with me all the time. You go where I go, okay? And so when we started traveling separately, his personality is like, oh, if we're traveling separate, he barely texts, barely sends pictures. It's like I don't exist. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like, I was in Istanbul like 5 years ago. I was in some hotel room. I remember just like crying. I was just like sobbing in my bed because like he was not texting me. And I was like, why is he so terrible? And why is he not giving me attention? And so I had to go to therapy. And so I found a therapist. She's from Istanbul. And we do teletherapy, and I've never met her, but she's been my therapist for 3 years. And I found her because I was lonely in Istanbul, like full circle moment, right? Like 3 years ago, I don't remember. And I was like, I don't care who the therapist is. I just need someone. And I worked through with her. You have to accept, like, when you're in a relationship, her main thing she taught me is you decide what you will tolerate in a relationship. There's not really rules for a relationship. Oh, this is okay, this is not okay, except obviously extreme things like violence, blah, blah, blah. But you can decide, will I tolerate a partner who will travel a lot? It's not that they're bad or good. That's maybe the lifestyle they want. If you want to live in one place and your partner wants to be gone all the time, you have to decide, okay, either we break up or I'm okay with that and I'll have my own lifestyle, right? Or vice versa. I dated great people casually that have normal jobs, or like, they have to go to work, like in a city, like one place. And so obviously I cannot date that person seriously ever. It's not going to work, right? No matter how much I like them, I will never live in one city. It's just not, I would die. I will, okay? So I think that's what worked for us is, adapting as we go along and deciding, is this okay for me or not? And if it is, he has to text me more periodically. He has learned and been trained, and I have to be more chilled out. And I have also learned and self-trained. Yes.
I want to ask the funniest or most interesting or maybe even the most awkward date abroad story.
Ooh, I like that. Most awkward
Spices,
date abroad.
please.
Spiciest dates
Spicy.
abroad.
Details.
Tell us the truth.
What happened in London? Sarah?
Yeah, what happened? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Let's let the moderator take
I
this
did
one.
go on some awkward dates in London. I mean, yeah, oh my gosh. There's this one guy who didn't look like his photos at all. I mean, that's just like, but I was just, I'm going to still have a nice time. And then he took me to this place, and he spent the entire night like listing which celebrities had been to which parties he'd been to. Every time I mention, any restaurants, he would just be like, oh, I've been there, or I saw this celebrity there. And it was just like so incredibly awkward. That's the only time where like I didn't even finish my drink. I was just like, I think that was that was enough. I mean, because I also felt like deceived by, it's borderline. I think he may have used photos of someone else, and I felt tricked, and I wasn't interested in hearing about the celebrity, which celebrities he had met at what time, at what time.
I have interesting. So Tinder is used in different countries for different reasons. So you'll be surprised, because I was thinking it's dating, right? So I got a match which, kept very rare. So I was excited. Yay, finally, yay, I'm gonna have my love. And I went out, it's in Peru, in Lima, and then I met this very pretty girl. But I noticed that there was something off, and, I'm trying to, showing interest, hey, what do you do? But she's bringing back the conversation around what do I do, or what about business or something. After literally 10 minutes, she couldn't resist. She didn't realize that I am literally, trying to flirt, fail attempt to flirt with her. She said, hey, can you make me a website? I'm like, sorry, excuse me? She's like, I saw you, you look Indian, Pakistani, so you guys good at software. I'm like, actually, yeah, I can make website, but are we meeting for that? She's like, yeah, I think, yeah. Can you make it? I can pay you. Okay. I'm like, no, actually, I'm not looking for clients right now. And then we finish. So, yeah. So.
Okay, I go. Hi, guys. My name is Alex. That's for nomad girls who gonna dating tonight. Okay, and the question itself is, actually, I have a theory. Like, if you wanna get some success at some certain place, you need to get used a little bit to this place. You need to feel the spirit of this. And maybe after that, you get that confidence, that level of confidence, which leads you to the success. Even regarding dating. So what do you think about it? How many days you need to spend at some place to be successful?
Lots, I feel like.
I think it depends on your definition of success. Like long-term relationship or like someone you're having fun? Which one? Second one. Again, it depends on the person. I find dating easier than normal friendships because I understand the parameters, right? I understand what is happening here, right? So I don't think there's any time limit. Like I've been places and met someone that I traveled with for 2 weeks. I met them in 5 minutes of landing in a country, right? So like it just depends on you and like how social you are and like how magnetic you are and how quickly you can differentiate between like who you're gonna vibe with or not. Like for me, that's, if I have a new career after Dear Alyne, I'm gonna be like a dating expert. Like I love dating, I love talking about dating. Like it's just the energy you give out, right? People always approach me even if I'm not the prettiest girl somewhere, because I have like this energy of like, I look friendly. Like I'm always smiling. I look like I won't be mean to you if you approach me, right? So I have had to turn that off in some countries because, like I'm not going to name anywhere, but you can think. But I think it can be extremely fast. Like if you just want to have friends. I mean, I would say most places I made friends like that immediately.
I will also add, yes, you're right, that certain cities, for example, if you go to New York, it's one of my favorite cities, and Toronto as well, very easy to meet interesting people, massive events happening, and if you stay a little bit longer, you can do incredible professional networking and as well as personal sort of networking or dating. New Yorkers are commitment phobes though, as most digital nomads are, so watch out. The second thing I wanted to say that there is no duration like per se, like you have to stay 6 months or 3 months. I know some of my friends, including me, we use data for dating. So we find places where more female population is, so you have better chances. Vancouver is such a city where it's like a 7-to-1. So you are definitely going to, your dating life would be more odds, more chances of, it's based on data. So I know some digital nomads who use data, who run queries and select cities for that reason. I personally know some people because we sat down and wrote queries together. So yeah, I think Chile is one of the places we found out. It's incredible. And that was the place. It's an interesting, weird story that I had a match. And that person asked me that, where do I live? I'm like, I live in this city. So in South America, the building has names and they're quite famous. They are used for address, like Edificio something. So I said, I live in Edificio Juan. She said, okay. And after 1 hour, my apartment door rang and I opened the door. There was a woman standing outside who I just matched 1 hour ago. So yes, and then she said that, oh, I just found it. Well, very nice, not creepy at all. Very incredible, very nice person. it's just she was like very like open to meet new people, and she just found she lived next door, close by. She asked the receptionist, "Who's this Indian-looking guy live?" That floor, okay. She went up. So yeah,
Reverse the genders on that one.
Yeah.
I would be pretty creeped
so
out.
different stories around the world. So find your city.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a couple more questions.
Hello. Hi. My name is Safwa. I was wondering, I think our lifestyle is really powered by having the privilege to work from our computers. As an introvert and someone who struggles with anxiety, having a job that I work from home is amazing, also from any country I want. But I was wondering, how do you deal or cope with the fact that you want to, like Alyne mentioned, that she wants someone to co-work with, while other people in other cities, they want to hang out after work. So how do you deal with this fact that, after a while, I've been doing this for around 2 years, and working from home has started becoming kind of lonely. Also knowing that people from company that I work with are already like forming friendships or having office dynamics, which is something I'm missing out on. So I was wondering if any of you have advice or tips to deal with this.
Yeah, sure. I would say go check out the cafes that have Wi-Fi that other people already work from. And if someone's working by themselves, ask if you could sit across from them. And perhaps you would strike up a conversation while you're both there working. I'd also say join a co-working space like this. All of these people work for different companies. And it's much easier to strike up a conversation with someone while you're grabbing water in the communal kitchen, because you're just in the same space together for 8 hours or however long per day. I found co-working spaces all over the world to be a main place where I would make both local and digital nomad friends. And it's a great, a diverse community, and everyone works for different companies. So you get a chance to have those office dynamics and trade professional tips and talk work a little bit, which is really nice because you don't always get that when you're trying to make friends and trying to make social friends. It's also nice to make professional friends and to make professional contacts as well. So I would say co-working spaces 100%, and then check out your cafes. You never know who might be working there, and strike up a conversation.
What is your job?
I work in research, so I do business research.
And do you have coworkers from your company?
Here?
Like in the world? Like, do you guys talk to each other on the computer?
Yes, all day, most days. Yes.
Okay. Well, there's a couple things I've seen other people do. I don't do this one, but some of my retreat girls, what they would do is they set up a co-working time and they go on Zoom, and they're all on Zoom together, but they're working on separate projects, but they just, one person is in charge. So you could be in charge and you say, okay, now we're working for 1 hour, and then we mute for 1 hour, or somebody plays music. And then after the hour, everybody knows they can come on, and then you chat for 15 minutes. So it's like a weird version of the Pomodoro method with friends, right? And you can do that with anyone from anywhere. For me, hiring an assistant helps. So not everyone can hire an assistant, but like she's online when I'm online. It's someone I can talk to. We don't work in person together, but it's someone who cares about what I'm working on. So when I need to bounce ideas off of someone, that's been great. So if any of you have, your own small business or something, you can even get remote VAs that are pretty affordable. Co-working is a bit difficult because you need to find someone who is also going to work, because a lot of people end up talking, which makes me crazy, like many things you have heard today. But definitely the co-working spaces is good. When I was just traveling in Tel Aviv, we went to the same cafe most days, and we ended up making friends just because you keep seeing each other, and it's like almost weird to not say hi at a certain point. Cat.
Yeah, so I would recommend you that you should meet your coworkers as well. Otherwise, they all will become besties, and when you meet them, you'll be the odd, Yes. So, does your company offer retreats? Do they meet once a year? Sure. And are they all in Turkey? Okay. So I think if you plan a trip together with one of your co-worker, maybe that would be amazing. Hey, where are you? Let's hang out in Santorini for a week or something. but it's really important for your professional growth that you at least once or twice a year you meet. I'm saying that because I have a small team as well, and 2 people I know personally, I met them, and 1 I have not met them. So there's a different sort of relationship in terms of emotion. So highly recommended that you plan with your team at least once or twice a year. I think you also are very qualified to answer this. What would you recommend? Because you are running
Yeah, so a couple of things we do in SafetyWing. I'm not sure how receptive your company is going to be, but we actually pay for people to travel to work together. So if someone works at SafetyWing and they, I feel a bit lonely, I want to go meet some coworkers. You can just buy a ticket and go, work from wherever they are. Like maybe stay at their place. That happens on a regular basis. But that's not up to you. That's up to your company. Other things is like Denise is saying, like going to visit. I mean, even if you have to pay for it yourself, might be a good idea in this case. But if it's just like answering the general loneliness question, as they are becoming closer and you would like to make friends, co-working spaces. I mean, that you get the office culture then. And you get to see the same people over and over again. And like Alyne said, it just becomes awkward to not say hi after a while. And then it is, it's a journey. I found that after COVID, it was almost like I'd become a bit like desocialized. It was like I really realized then that being social is a skill, and if you don't exercise it, so it might be a bit tough in the beginning if you've like been isolating yourself for a bit. So that's just like warning. I've been there, and even though it might be hard in the beginning, it's you get into it, by just exposure and just being around other people, and you get to train that muscle back up again.
Do I ask now? Yeah. I got 2 questions, actually. One is very specific and one is kind of general. And the general one is a bit similar to the one that Alex asked, which is, it's not about dating per se, it's about how do you choose the perfect amount of time to spend at a certain place. Like I know Denise just mentioned she signed the lease for 6 months in a place. But how do you know like the next week you're not gonna like hate your life and want to go back and you're like committed to it? And I know that Alyne used to go for shorter periods of time, but how do you know that this is enough time for me to make the most out of this place? And it's not gonna be too quick, where I'm not gonna like it too much, and it's sad that I'm gonna be leaving in 2 weeks. So that's the first question. The second question is a bit about loneliness. So for example,
Wait.
Yeah.
Let them answer the first one.
Okay.
And then they'll forget.
Okay, go.
I mean, this is totally personal preference. How long is enough time to spend in a certain place? But there's nothing wrong with booking an Airbnb for 2 weeks. And if you fall in love with the place that you're in, go book one for 2 months and see how you feel, or go book it for another month, see how you feel. You can do it. You don't have to sign a lease. You can do it piecemeal, and you can take your temperature every month to see how you feel. I think a lot of people do that, and Airbnb is like such a platform that is so flexible to allow people to do that. Whether it's affordable or not is another question, but that does allow you to do it piecemeal and to check in with yourself every month, every couple of weeks to say, do I still like it here? Am I making friends? Is the dating scene what I'm looking for? No? Okay, maybe it's time to move on. Where are my other friends? Maybe I want to go see them, or maybe I want to strike out on my own and go check out a new place that's been kind of itching the back of my mind. That's what I would say.
Oh my God, so loud. One tip for Airbnb that many of you probably know, but just in case somebody doesn't, is if this really only works if you're staying a bit longer. You can usually search the name of the Airbnb location on Google and reach out to them directly and get a much better deal. That's what I did when I stayed in Albania for a month. If I'd paid retail, it would have been over 2,000. But because I like reached out and I was like, it's off season, and they gave it to me for like 500. So, Airbnb fees, as you alluded to, are kind of insane these days. If you're watching Airbnb, fix it. But that's one way to do it cheaper. As for how long to stay, like I do have personality is different. For me, I'm like a floating around, like a no commitment, float. So for me, when I was, especially most of my life, I would go somewhere with a one-way ticket, not even have accommodation booked. On my first trip of my life, I went to Athens and I had only one night of accommodation booked. That is how little I can commit. And the rest of the trip, I just wanted to like feel the vibe. I was like, what's the vibe? Where's fun stuff happening? Where's fun people going? And that's how I traveled for years, literally. And that was great for me because, you know, you always meet fun people. And like, what if they're going to Italy next week? And I want to go to Italy. So I didn't book anything far ahead. That's just what worked for me and was super fun.
Quickly say that I don't know the minimum, but I know the maximum is the visa expiry. I will go back to it because 73% population of the planet requires visa. And in my community, we created something called Near Abroad. This is for the people who do not get visa-free access to most of the countries. So we are creating a list for them, creating a sort of like a framework calling Near Abroad. So they should start nomading within their countries or neighboring countries because they are the most open sometimes. So that's the maximum. Minimum, as Alyne said, vibe, how you're feeling the vibe, if you're feeling connected with the place, how much fun you're having. After all, we all doing this to have a lot of fun, right? So if you're having a lot of fun, that extends your thing. My traveling style is a little bit different because I have a little bit of organized structure. I'm jealous, like Alyne, because I want that kind of flexibility, but I have to book minimum a month Airbnb because first you get a discount, massive discount, 28 plus days. And second, that I have a little bit of team, so I have to have a structure, some sort of organized structure. So minimum 28 I have, even if I don't like. It happens so many times. I didn't vibe with the city, but I had to spend 28 days. And maximum, as I said. So I was loving Rio. I wanted to stay there, but my visa expired, so I had to leave before the 6 months.
I mean, if someone else got a question, I don't want to hog this.
All right, for everyone here, we have a QR code on the screen right now. So if you want to ask questions to each other and stay connected to people you meet tonight, please scan this QR code and you'll join a WhatsApp group we created just for the event. I invite everyone to, go grab a drink, talk to people around, ask the questions in person. And I would like everyone to give a big round of applause to our guest tonight.
Yay. SafetyWing, can I ask you a favor?
Yeah. Yes.
Can I shoot a shot with this group for an IG thing?
Absolutely.
Okay. You guys come in the video. Sit here. I need a videographer. Are you my videographer? Okay, so you know how it works, okay? It's gonna feel weird now, but when you see it with music, it'll be good. Okay. So I'm just gonna stand here and I'm literally just gonna jump. And then afterwards we all dance. Okay. And if you don't dance, it makes it weird. Okay. So I need everyone's commitment. Okay. Do you want to be our videographer? Are you gonna be sad you're not in it? Okay, ready?